Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of How's That the Cricket Podcast with me, Josh, and...
Hello, me, Lily. We've only done a couple, but I just know this is going to be one of my favourite episodes ever.
Tell us why, Lily.
So we have done an interview with Kate Cross. So it's quite a lengthy one, but it is worth it, 100%.
She was so great to talk to and just get the insight of how women's cricket has evolved. And yeah, she was fantastic to listen to.
Yeah, she, like you said, she gave us a really good perspective on women's cricket in England in comparison to Australia, because she has played lots of cricket in both countries. So yeah, it was really good to hear. I guess we'll just jump straight into it.
Yes, have a listen, guys, and enjoy.
Well gone. She's on a hat-trick, Kate Cross. Straight through the defences. First ball duck.
Can you tell us, how you are and where you are at the moment and what you're doing?
Yeah, of course I can. So we are currently in Christchurch, nearly forgot then. So we flew over from Melbourne to New Zealand last Thursday on the basis that we had to do 10 days quarantine before we were able to get out. And thankfully, the government over here has changed it to 7 days. So we're actually getting out tomorrow. So that was a massive bit of good news for us. So yeah, we're obviously doing this ahead of the World Cup. And then we're heading to Queenstown to do a little bit of time off, a little bit of cricket prep, kind of get ourselves going again, because obviously we've been stuck in our rooms / this hotel for 7 days now.
Yeah, that's good news that you're not in there for another couple of days onto that. I guess that was a bit of a relief.
Yeah, and it massively makes a difference as well. Like, I think for people who've not had to experience what quarantine is like, it's quite hard to get across like the monotony of what your existence is. It's really strange. Like I know we'd had the Ashes, so I was tired anyway, but my first 3 days I literally was just asleep. It was mad. They kept just waking me up and bringing me food. It's crazy.
I've seen the food. It doesn't look too appetizing, the hotel food, does it? Are people getting like Uber Eats or something like that? I think I've seen.
Yeah, you can do, which has been a bit of a godsend. But I actually think the food's been all right. And I think the food makes a massive difference as well, because if the food was not good, that would really affect us. So I think for the system that they have, I do actually think it's quite good. We've actually been in this hotel quarantining before, this time last year when we came to New Zealand. So it's quite familiar for us, which I think's helped as well. Yeah.
And I've seen the balcony situation. Some people have just sticking their heads out windows. So has not everyone been given a balcony then? What's the deal there?
Yeah, so I think, as I understand it, and I might be wrong, but I think all the players in the World Cup squad got balconies, and I think all the staff had but it's honestly, it's so savage. So it goes balcony room, non-balcony room, balcony room, non-balcony room. So you can see who's obviously got balconies and not. So it is pretty savage. But thankfully I got a balcony, so I've been all right.
Yeah, that's good. I saw a thing on Instagram where I think it was Tasha and Sophia were doing something out on the balcony, and Lauren Bell was just sticking her head out the window, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? But have you been watching anything? Have you been like binge watching anything while you're in your hotel quarantine?
So I watched Cheer. I don't know if you've seen that, the cheerleading documentary on Netflix, which I love. And then I've actually stayed away from Netflix. I've been pretty good. I've been watching a lot of the Winter Olympics, but I did watch The Tinder Swindler. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you watched it yet?
No, I haven't.
You really need to watch it, because it's absolutely mental. Like, this guy, how he exists and he's still out there and doing what he does is mad. But yeah, you need to watch it.
Oh.
Yeah. I heard some of the things he was saying, like on the TV, and I'm like, jeez.
Yeah. Mad.
How did you start playing cricket, Kate? And like, how did you? What was your pathway like to playing cricket?
So I was the product of the youngest sibling of three. So I was forced in the garden to do what the older ones wanted to do. So my eldest he's male, so I've got an eldest brother, and he loved cricket, and I think that was the biggest influence that I could have had, because that was just all we did in the back garden in the summer. And I just picked it up quite naturally, so like had a natural bowling action, which I think helped. And then it was my brother and my dad who encouraged me to go down to our local cricket club, which was just boys cricket then. There was no girls cricket. And yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it. Like I think everyone does at such a young age. It's such a sport that engrosses so much of your time, and it, like I say, I'm quite lucky because, and I think a lot of people who play cricket will get this, but your cricket club's like a little community. I've got so many fake aunties and uncles down there who used to look after me at the weekends, and I always felt safe down there. And even though I was missing out on stuff with my school friends, I always loved it. So yeah, that was it really. It was just probably like a lot of the girls of my generation, but heavily male influenced. And yeah, just loved the sport and wanted to do it literally every second that I was awake.
Oh no, that's great. And you touched on a bit with the community. It is a very big community feel here as well when I play, and just everyone's mates. And I've been at my club since I was 5 years old. My dad played Aussie rules football there, and just I've known people since I was that little, and they go, "Oh, are you playing cricket now, Josh?" Jeez, I feel old.
Yeah.
And it's just, and also on football. Your dad played football for a lot of clubs. Was there anything like? Did you have a choice between cricket or football at all?
No, because everyone will tell you I'm the worst footballer in this squad. Comfortably, like, I'm not my father's daughter in that regard. I'm more hand-eye coordination, but I think in a way that's where my sister influenced me, because she was a netballer, and my brother did play a bit of football as well. He was good at football, but yeah, I was so much better with my hands. So if it wasn't cricket, it was netball.
You say that with the influence, so everyone has their own favourite cricketer who they look up to. Who did you look up to when you were starting to play?
So I, again, similar to probably everyone of my generation that is a female cricketer, but I only had male influences. So it was Andrew Flintoff for me, that 2005 Ashes. I snuck into Old Trafford, and I remember kids went free on the last, under 16s went free on day 5, and I managed to sneak in even though there was massive queues up the street. But it was from Lancashire, obviously, and I'm from Lancashire, but I just loved how he played and had a character, and that shone for me. And like, he always looked like he was enjoying himself, and if he wasn't enjoying himself, he was so deep into a battle with a batter that it just really inspired me. So yeah, he was just always the one that I wanted to watch bat or bowl. So yeah, and I do think like the Lancashire connection was a big thing for me as well, because I felt like it was part of how I grew up playing cricket as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned that obviously, I'd say, the people in the team probably, and people who play cricket at your age, you said that you had like male cricketers to look up to. So I guess now, when I was younger, which wasn't that long ago, I had You're
still a baby, Lily.
I had people like you and Elise Perry and all those people to look up to. So in the position that you are at now, how does it feel to kind of be that professional female athlete role model that young girls like me a couple of years ago were able to watch and want to be like? How does that feel to be in that position now, where girls can look up to girls and boys can look up to girls, really?
Yeah, honestly, it's really, really special. And I think it's probably something that I'm not really going to appreciate until I've finished playing as much. Like, don't get me wrong, I do understand how much more visible we are now and how much more visibility women's sport has got compared to when I was a kid. But like, I never played cricket to have that job. I never played cricket because I wanted to be a female role model. I just played cricket because I loved it. And I'm really conscious that I still try and get that across now. So the 100 was a perfect example of how all the female cricketers came across in our summer. But you want young girls to play a sport that looks enjoyable, or young boys, obviously. And I think that like that's such a key thing for me, and I'm really conscious of it when I go onto the pitch, that I've had 4 or 5 years of hating cricket, and I've had struggles with my mental health because of that. And that's not what this is about. This is meant to be the best career that I'm ever going to have. It's going to be the best time of my life with some of my best mates. So I'm really conscious of like getting that right. And you can't force it, obviously. There's times where you get hit for 6 and you can't be smiling about it. But hopefully that does come across. So it does feel really special to know that you could influence someone to pick up a bat or a ball or whatever it might be, whether it's to help someone find passion in something else. But yeah, it's really nice to know that you might be able to, I guess, influence someone that way.
Also, yeah, it's with me, what I found is with like you said, you grew up watching the men play cricket, and now, yeah, my favorite cricketer is Megan Shue. So we get I get a little bit teased, if you know what I mean. Just, oh, why don't you like a male? Because you're a male. And I'm like, no, I like a female. So it's a bit.
I think that's really powerful though, and I think there is something so incredible about a young boy looking up to a Megan Shue or a Meg Lanning or an Elise Perry or whoever, and actually realizing that girls can be as good as guys at something. And I think it's definitely, like, obviously don't want to go too deep into like sexism or anything like that, but I think for a lot of generations, it's how they were brought up to view females as well. And I think if you're brought up from a young age to see that women can be powerful and athletic and influential, and I think that's a really positive thing that can happen for young people, boys or girls. So I think, like, I just think that's amazing, and it all is down to the visibility of our sport. So yeah, long may that continue.
Yeah,
really good. Thank you for that.
Megan Shue's my favorite as well. So
she's just a character. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
So in South Australia, specifically, the female cricket pathway is it's pretty step by step, you know. So you've got your club cricket, and then you've got district cricket, and then you pretty much go from that to state cricket, you know, the state teams, and then strikers, and then Australia. That's it. What is the female cricket pathway like in England, and is it much different from that?
No, it's probably not too dissimilar, actually. I think the club cricket is obviously your bread and butter of where you learn your skill and how you get into your sport. But it's probably not until our county cricket, which is kind of changing at the minute. We're in a weird phase where we're moving into regional cricket. So they've tried to group a bit more of the counties together, just like for numbers reasons, to try and get more girls involved and stuff, and hopefully not let as many people slip through the net, because you have fewer states than we have counties. So it's quite difficult when you've got 18 counties and you're trying to get a girls team from all of them. So, and I think the stepping stones that we've now tried to narrow with the 100, I think they're quite a big part of the next phase of women's cricket, because county cricket was always a huge step up to international cricket. And you could really see the difference between the girls who weren't quite ready for international cricket, because the only level that they could play below that was county cricket. So, you know, the likes of the 100, we were playing in front of crowds of like 15,000, 16,000 people pretty much every game. You're playing on test match wickets, test match venues, against the best players in the world. So that kind of is going to get people more ready, which I think we've seen in Australia quite obviously, really, in the last 5 years, how the women's Big Bash has prepped girls for international cricket, and how the state cricket now, the contracts that they've got there means that girls can focus all their time on cricket and not worry about subsidising any, you know, with another job. So I think that we're kind of getting there. We're a little bit behind Australia with that, but it is very similar. You've kind of got the stepping stones, but I think we've just managed to reduce the steps between those now, because we've got the likes of the 100 in between those two, the county and the international stuff now.
Yeah, you covered my next my next point there, really, which was, you know, you've obviously played your fair share of WBBL, and obviously you played in the 100 as well. So yeah, you pretty much compared what Australia and England was like, and the development of women's cricket up to this point, as WBBL has been going for 7 seasons and the 100 just had its one. So I think it's a surprise to quite a few people over here, I guess, because we don't see much of England cricket, you know, Australians. So I think seeing that the 100 had only just started was quite a shock, I think, to a lot of people. And Josh, do you is that fair to say, do you think, about the 100 one season?
Yeah, the 100 concept, and also I struggle to watch a lot of England cricket because it's so early in the morning for us. But the 100 was just incredible, just the next evolution of cricket. Yeah, it was a shock. People got, oh, how's it going to go? Will people adapt to it? Will people like it? I loved it. It was it's a new concept. I think it can really get around the world, and hopefully different countries can adapt their own style to it. So hopefully we see 100 down here. You never know.
Yeah, so right, I'm going to go on a bit of a spiel about this because I've got a lot to say. But
okay,
we did used to have the Kia Super League before the 100. So that was like our semi-professional tournament, and that went for 4 years. So that was kind of like the stepping stone to the 100.
Right.
But the biggest difference between Cricket Australia and the cricket in England, I think, is the fact that Cricket Australia managed to professionalise all their players and squad players, and we're still not there yet. So our domestic structure means that we've still only got 7 players out of a squad of 20 who are getting paid annually, like as a salary. So the rest of the girls are either getting paid hourly rates on training and stuff, or they're having to have other jobs. So it's still like in that kind of weird transition phase. But the thing with the 100 that made it so successful from my point of view was it didn't matter what the format was. It didn't matter whether it was 4 days long or 100 balls long. It was the fact that the equality of how it started with the, we were put on a level playing foot with the men from day one.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest thing. Women's cricket just needed that. It needed marketing. It needed proper pitches. It needed training venues that the men were getting, gym facilities, that kind of thing. So for those 4 weeks, I genuinely think that it was the best and most professional, other than playing international cricket, it was the best and most professional that I've ever been involved in cricket wise. And I put the Big Bash into that. So, and I don't have a bad word to say about the Women's Big Bash either. So I think that just goes to show how much they kind of catapulted us into professionalism. And for a lot of the girls, that was throwing them in at the deep end as well, because some girls have never played cricket on TV. They've never played in front of more than a crowd of like 100 people. So it was quite, I guess it was quite a big exposure thing for a lot of girls as well. But I think that that's the way it needs to go in order to improve. So yeah, sorry, a bit of a rant, but that's why I think the 100 was so successful from the female point of view, because for the guys, that's the norm. They're used to that. But for us, it was like a brand new concept, really.
Yeah, thanks for that insight. That was great.
The first ever 100 game, though, was a women's game, which I think you played in. And it shouldn't be a shock, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be something that's like, wow, but it was. So can you give us a bit of, I guess, insight on what that was like to play in that first game?
Yeah, it was mad. And like you said, it shouldn't be news. It shouldn't be news that the women are starting a tournament, but unfortunately that is just still where we're at. But the beauty of it is that those kids that were in the crowd, in 5 years' time, it won't be news for them. So that's what I'm trying to get at earlier about that generational thing of looking up to female role models. But yeah, that first game, like, I mean, Josh, you were saying you didn't know how it would go. We obviously didn't know how it would go because we'd never played the format. We played a few warm-up games, but that was it pretty much. So I remember winning the toss, and I was a bit gutted actually, because I was like, I don't know what's good to do. Like, do you want to chase? Do you want to set? I don't know. I was guessing. And we had to have this like 10-minute chat with the umpires beforehand where they were trying to go through the rules. And the first time we did that night at the Oval, it was like a 10-minute chat of like, right, this is what happens. You bowl 5 balls and then you can change your bowler, and then there's 10, and then you swap ends. And so I'm like listening and nodding and right, yeah, I know all this. I definitely will. I'm not going to mess this up live on TV. Like, no one's watching. And then I remember just saying to everyone, so there's me and Darnay, who was the captain of the Oval, Sue Redfern, and I can't remember the male umpire that we had. But I just said, right, this is the first time for everyone. Let's all just try and enjoy it, because it's going to be a spectacle. And that's what it was. And I remember coming off the pitch, we obviously lost, which I think was the right result for the night and the crowd and everything. So I'm quite happy to say that I'm glad that we lost that game, even though we should have won it. But I remember just being so proud, because I even said to the girls before we went out to field that it doesn't matter what the result is. We're all making history regardless. So just go and enjoy it, embrace it. You know, the crowd was amazing. I couldn't hear the girls on the pitch, like trying to move fielders and ask Alex if she wanted to review a ball, and I was at cover and she was bowling and she couldn't hear me, and it was manic, but it was just so special. And it's probably going to be like one of the moments of my career that I'm never going to forget. and like the feeling that it gave me as well. I'm never going to be able to forget that, because it was just so special in so many ways. And then we got to like listen to Becky Hill have a little sing at halftime. It was amazing.
It looks, the whole thing just looked like so much fun. I think it nailed it, where it just makes kids want to just be a part of it. And I think that's what its ultimate goal was, to make it look fun. And it really did look fun. It was so
completely
amazing. Yeah.
I think I described it when I came off the pitch as like, it felt like I'd gone to an event. It didn't feel like I was going playing cricket. I felt like I was at an event. And I think if you can create those memories for young kids, and that is their first, like that might have been the first game of cricket that any kid's ever seen, and it, like, imagine feeling like that after it, and how much fun it was, and the color, and the like how loud it was, and the music. It was just, it ticked all the boxes really. And obviously there's a lot of like, I was quite skeptical going into it as well, because I didn't know what to expect. And I think it just kind of surpassed everything that I hoped it could have been. In so many more ways for me as well, because obviously I got to captain, got to have really tough phases of the tournament where we weren't winning, and then have good phases where we almost made playoffs. Like, there was just so much to it. It was just a brilliant 4 weeks, and I'm just chomping at the bit now to get going again this summer, which, I think that says enough about how well the tournament went.
Is there anything in particular that you kind of learned, I guess, from the first season, that you, maybe it's about certain things about preparation or anything like that, that you'd take into the second season and kind of learn from or improve on?
So I went into the first season thinking I'm never going to bowl anyone 10 balls. So you've had the opportunity that you could bowl someone straight through for the 10 at one end, or switch them halfway through. For anyone that doesn't know these rules, that's going to sound ridiculously confusing, but it's not. It's quite simple. And I went into it and I thought, in T20 cricket, very rarely would you bowl the same bowler at the same end, with an over in between. So why would you then risk someone bowling 10 balls? And actually my perception of that rule changed throughout. And I think I bowled a set of 10 because I just felt like I was going to take a wicket. So I made that decision. I bowled Hannah Jones for a 10 and she did take a wicket. So I think there's moments where I'm just not going to be as quite stringent on what I think rules should look like, or how you should perceive those rules, because I think that changed quite quickly for me. But the other thing as well that was brilliant about it was how much exposure we got with the men's team. So like Carlos Brathwaite came to a training session. Stephen Finn was doing some bowling with me one session. Like, it was just incredible. And I don't think necessarily you need to have male players to make you a better player. I'm not saying that, but to have some of that expertise, and like Carlos has been around the world playing cricket in franchises for however many years, and to have him like be able to talk to us about that sort of stuff. And there was even a point where he spoke to me because he captained the second half of the men's stuff, and he was asking me advice, and I was like, are you okay? Have you had a drink? Because I'm not sure I'm the person to come to, but like that, I think that almost showed how much respect the guys had for us as players as well. And it kind of felt like it wasn't the men and the women, but it was a group of cricketers who were trying to draw on each other's experiences, which was really like amazing. And I think I'll probably dive more into that this year as well, and make sure I pick everyone's brains that's in any of the teams that we come across.
Did you feel like it was better that the men's and the women's games where you'd have double headers and that kind of stuff? Because that is what used to happen with the WBBL, but now they've split to standalone seasons. So do you think that was a good thing about the 100, or do you think it'd still work the same if they were different?
I think there's pros and cons for both, but I think the 100 wouldn't have worked as well if that hadn't have happened for us in season one. So that was actually just a huge coincidence as well. It was because of COVID, because we just couldn't get the venues safe enough. So we then had to move towards the venues that already had the COVID protocols, like the county venues and the test match venues and stuff. So that we kind of we didn't hijack the men's tournament, obviously, because we were always going to have our own. But I think that the thing that stuck out for me, that surprised me the most, and I noticed this in our first home fixture, so it was only the second fixture of the tournament, so many people in the crowd had merchandise on. Like, they were all wearing Manchester Originals kit. And I thought, wow, they're not even seeing this product yet, and they're buying it and supporting it. And I think we would have kind of lost a little bit of that affiliation had the women and the men been separate. It like really felt like someone came and they watched the 2 games and they supported Manchester Originals, and it didn't matter whether you're a male or a female, but they were going to support that team. And I think that's what made it work even better in a way. So it kind of happened by accident, but I think it was a blessing in disguise that it did happen that way.
Now you have got a short time to convince me to go for Manchester Originals next season. How are you advertising it? How are you making Josh and I support Manchester Originals?
All right, Lily, can you tell me the name of the person who is on the back of the shirt that you are currently wearing?
It's you.
Okay, so that's my shirt. So you are on a podcast wearing my shirt. So I'm only going to assume that I might be one of your favourite players, and I play for the Manchester Originals. We have the best kit. We're sponsored by the best crisp, McCoy's. And we play in Manchester. It's like the best city in the world behind London. So support us.
All right, that's good. Josh, do you feel like you can get behind Manchester Originals now?
Well, I'm good friends with Amanda Wellington, so I do follow her. So yeah, who did she play for? Oh, I should know this.
She played for Southern Brave.
Yeah. That's it. It was. I know it was green.
Pom Bears.
And
I don't know what that is. He's Australian.
And my fiance is. Her parents are from Wales, so they've got a Welsh fire, and I think Sarah Taylor. Yes, I'm a big Sarah Taylor fan as well. So,
out of interest, did you pick up any kind of affiliation to a team, or were you just watching the tournament, both of you? Like, was it just right? This team's playing today.
I was a bit like that. I haven't got an affiliation yet, so I'm just trying to get the feel. And I definitely will watch Manchester now for you, Kate, of course. So, So no, I don't have an affiliation yet. Hopefully we'll get one. So, but yeah, I think Amanda and Sarah will say like, yeah, come to our team and all that. So, and then you're saying go to Manchester. So I've got some thinking to do. I do.
I won't lie. I was kind of Birmingham Phoenix for the first season because of Katie Mack. So, striker, you got to go behind the strikers, and I did like the colours. The only thing that I obviously I'd say
it's not happening.
For anyone who doesn't follow the 100, the colours of Birmingham Phoenix are bright orange and bright yellow and bright red. It was horrific.
I like the zigzags. It was cool. But it's, I would have liked Manchester Originals to have a bit more colour. I know that's something you can't help, but
I'll tell you something a little bit about how they did all the designs for it. So each city and each franchise has got like deep roots of, so the reason that we play in black and grey is literally because of the weather in Manchester. So it's trying to signify the city, and we've got it's like a bolt as an emblem with MO in it, and that's to signify like the industry of Manchester. And it's there's kind of like deep roots between it. I don't know why Birmingham's in bright orange and bright red. Amy Jones will have to tell you about that, but there's like a little bit more to the kit designs than probably meets the eye. So the reason we play in black and grey is because it matches the weather.
Right, that that's fair then. That does make a bit more sense than just, it's like you run out of the color palette, and it's just kind of like
the last one to be designed.
Yeah.
I just love what you said, Lily. I like the zigzags.
Well, they're all funky designs, it's good. But okay, no, you have. I think you've converted me. You're just converting everyone, aren't you? You've managed to get everyone on board. I feel like we should talk about the washes. It's only fair to talk about the washes. Now, you went in to bat at 11, and you managed to save the test match to have a chance at getting the Ashes.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when you were going out to bat to save the test?
First of all, I love batting with Sophie Eccleston, so that immediately calmed me down knowing that Soph was already out in the middle. And also, I genuinely think a lot of the pressure got taken off me because I didn't have to make a decision when I got out there, because Lisa, our coach, basically was like, your job is to save it. You don't need to try and get the runs, just try and save the test match. So I think I was actually relatively calm because it was just such a simple don't get out. And then I started wafting at some balls to Sutherland outside off stump, and I was like, oh God, rein it in, Crossy. But it was just one of those moments. Again, I'm probably, because of the emotion of the game and the result and everything, it's quite hard to see it now, but there's not many opportunities where I'm going to be able to save a test match for my country with like 9 fielders round the bat and, you know, so many people watching. I think it was like the record viewers of anyone in Australia watching women's sport, something crazy. So yeah, it was a really personally nice moment for me. I think it was just so disappointing because we got ourselves in such a good position to win that game, and it would have been like the all-time greatest chase I think ever well, definitely in women's test match cricket, maybe even in men's test match cricket as well. So I think we were just so gutted with that it's quite hard to kind of see how good it was to be involved in.
On that, yeah. When you went out to bat, obviously as an Aussie supporter, I'm sorry, I was saying go for it. And but as a cricketer, like you only had to get not many. So it's just like, is there any side that goes, oh, I can get these runs? Like stuff what the coach said, I'd go out and say, but like, you know, I can do this. Like, what's the sort of conversation there with the coach? Like the games, you can get it. And like, yeah, it was just like, oh, there's only like 15 runs or 20 runs to get. Go for it.
Well, when I went in, it was 12 off 8, like 13 or 14 balls. So it was still less than 1 a ball at that point. So it was very doable. And I would back myself, like if I was batting higher up the order, I'd have backed myself to get that any day of the week. But the problem is, and I think I actually got a little bit of stick on Twitter because people saw the result, but probably didn't get the context of our Ashes within that game. So that, you know, they didn't realise the point system. And we had to very quickly weigh up the risk and reward. So if I got out, that's it, Ashes done. These 3 ODIs didn't mean anything. Obviously, you've then got the reward of if you go for it and you get it, you're 6-4 ahead in an Ashes and you put yourself in a great position. But it felt like the safest thing to do was to try and save it at that point. And I keep trying to think to myself, would I have been more disappointed getting out trying to get the runs, or would I have been more disappointed going for the draw? And I actually don't know yet. I'm still kind of trying to weigh it up. But I think because I didn't make the decision, it was just a little bit easier for me because like when you're in those moments, those really high pressure moments, we do so much work on trying to think clearly and how to just process everything. And someone else did that for me. So they took away so much of my pressure, which was just so helpful. Yeah, the people on Twitter, go away, guys. You don't get you don't get what is at stake. So no, you did do the right thing. But yeah, would you like to see for to go to 5 days? I've been a big advocate and shouting and bawling about this quite a lot, actually. And I think, I mean, it was such a great game for so many reasons, because even though there was rain involved and it took away some of the overs that we could play, we still played really positive cricket and tried to force a result, which I think you've got to do in an Ashes series when there's so many points at stake. But I do think that for whatever reason, why we don't play 5-day cricket is getting a bit redundant now. And, you know, whether it is fitness levels, whether it's tour lengths, whether it's the capability, I don't know. But I just think, why not have it? For me, it's always better to have the 5th day and not need it than not have the 5th day and need it. So, yeah, I'm a big advocate for it. But I do think that the pitch that we played on in Canberra, if we're going to carry on playing 4-day cricket, the pitch needs to be that standard every time we play. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm also a big advocate for 5-day women's cricket. I mean, even as a reserve day, if it gets, as you said, the rain did dampen a bit of the game. So just have a backup day. If it doesn't go for 5 days, and really try and get a result. Because as much as a draw is okay, if we do get sick of it. Yeah. So if you do, we do. I mean, every time we play, all these emotions and the 4 days of toil, and you can't celebrate or commiserate at the end of it, it's quite hard to level your emotions after a draw. So yeah, I'm all for it.
And it was a bit tricky as well, because it was like there was barely any day 3. So it was virtually like a 3-day test, you know. It was,
yeah, but you could probably argue that if we'd not had that rain break, the game might have ended completely differently. So obviously I'm a massive believer in fate, and things happen for a reason, and I kind of feel like all the decisions we then made after that rain break helped kind of accumulate in that massive climax of what was an amazing test match. So yeah, I think you can look at it both ways, and I think if it had been 5 days, we wouldn't have had that same finish at all. We'd have probably finished on lunchtime on day 5, and yeah, who knows what the result would have been, but it would have been very different.
yeah,
very true.
there was an article about a Aussie Rules footballer here who he was saying about how, obviously Australian, saying about how Meg Lanning shouldn't have declared as early as she did, you know. And then I'm like, I realised that was only 4 days, because from reading it, I genuinely don't think he knew, because it was like, I don't think she would have if it was a 5-day thing, you know.
No, of course she wouldn't. She'd have waited for us to bowl them out.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things of just making it, you know, at least a good game, you know. So I think it was she did the right thing, obviously, but
yeah,
I think that
I maintain I don't think she thought we'd go for it. I've not spoke to her about it to know what her thinking was, but I thought that I thought it was not a negative declaration, but when I came off the pitch, I was like, this is going to be a really good run chase. And I thought she'd left it a bit too late to kind of get a result. And I thought they were playing for a draw at that point. So yeah, it's just perception, and I think context as well. I think if you've got the context of the game and the series and everything, then it's very different.
Yeah.
So here in Australia, we get good access to players and everything like that, and to meet our heroes and everything like that. So what's the access like in England for people? Like, I know with COVID at the moment, it's quite restricted and stuff, and like the ovals, like they have good access for people to like.
Yeah, we've notoriously kind of had feedback that as a playing group, we seem to be more accessible than the men's team. I think a lot of that comes down to kind of how popular and well known the men's team are as well. Like, you know, you can imagine a Virat Kohli or someone trying to walk down a street in India is very different to me walking down a street in Manchester. So, you know, I think it's all relative, but we've generally, you know, we've always been a team that will go out and sign things and have photos with people after games. And like, we always dedicate that time because we're just really grateful that people have supported us. You know, like I said, I think we're still in that phase where we as athletes need to give ourselves to people to get people to come into the sport as well. So it was difficult in the 100 because of COVID restrictions, and you couldn't sign things, and it, you know, seeing kids and trying to get photos, but you're 2 meters away, it was difficult. So hopefully that'll be like a bit, well, definitely getting better now as we move out of the COVID restrictions in the UK. But that's one of my favorite parts of it all, to be honest. And my dad, like you mentioned earlier, dad's played football, and he said to me once, he was like, there'll be a day, Kate, when no one asks you for your autograph. So he said, always sign them. So I always just think it's a really nice part of my day that people, you know, want to talk to me or ask me anything. So yeah, I always try and give as much time as possible.
Yeah, and it's really well, it's really appreciated as well, because obviously I've grown up watching, you know, women play cricket. So being able to just walk up, it was good in Melbourne. I enjoyed being able to you know, meet the people, because it's so, like I said, so accessible here. You know, you can just walk up to Elise Perry, and it's just it's good to hear that, you know, you do have the same sort of thing over there, but I guess COVID stopped that happening, which it didn't.
Yeah.
So in Canberra, I guess you had a bit of a disappointing crowd, maybe. Do you think you would have expected to have a bit more of a crowd for the test?
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest. I always think Cricket Australia do a lot of very, very good things. You know, the way they market the girls, and like Elise and Meg are two absolute superstars over here, and everyone knows they're a household name now. But I'm always quite disappointed when I play over here for the crowd. Like, I think generally, I know COVID's restricting and people are maybe not feeling as safe as they might have done in prior years, but I can't really remember a time that I've played a game in Australia and come away thinking, wow, that crowd was amazing, other than when we played at smaller outgrounds in the Big Bash, when 2,000 people felt like 15,000 people. Like Lilac Hill was a good example of that when we played in Perth. So yeah, to be fair, I actually thought the crowd at Junction on the Sunday that we played in the second ODI, I thought that was a really good crowd. It like appreciated cricket, and it wasn't very heavily Australian. It was just seemed to appreciate good cricket, which is always nice, especially as a traveling team. But yeah, I do think there's work to be done for what we showcase now. I think people should be coming and watching it, and it was just a bit of a shame that I think it was probably in COVID times, and a lot of people obviously watched it on TV, the test match, but it would have been nice to have a bigger crowd in. It was actually our English supporters who were making more noise, the England A girls that were there, and the husbands and girlfriends and boyfriends that were there, they were all making all the fuss.
Yeah, you said there, it did seem like from TV, I saw the second ODI, and it did seem like all the grass, like the hill, was all filled with people, which I was like, that's really good. But I was there as well. It was a Tuesday, and that seemed fairly busy for a Tuesday, I'd say. There was still school classes were there as well.
Yeah,
so,
and
good.
I think it's difficult because the schedule of the Washes changed. That final ODI wasn't supposed to be the deciding ODI. It was meant to be a T20 later on. Obviously they changed that because of this World Cup quarantine we're doing. So I think it's difficult to criticize or do anything to suggest decisions were right or wrong, but you want the final Ashes game to be on a Saturday or a Sunday with as big a crowd as possible, for the sake of the girls winning it, because the Aussie girls lifted that trophy and there was barely anyone there to see it right at the end. So that's the pinnacle of our sport, or supposed to be the pinnacle of our sport, and there was not really many people there to see it. So it was good for a Tuesday, but I think for it to be like the final game of the Ashes, and it was just a bit of a shame. But again, I think it was out of everyone's control, really.
Yeah, the first schedule, it probably would have been more ideal for being selfish Adelaide people, because it probably wouldn't have been rained out if we had those two games. Because we were supposed to have 3, but then we originally would have 2. But I probably would have preferred to have 2 rather than 1 with 2 rained out. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, that's just the nature of them. You will probably always risk. We feel like you probably don't risk it as much when you come to Australia. It's more of an English thing. But if you put 2 games back to back on the same city, on the same pitch, on the same weekend, there's a chance if it does rain, you're going to lose both of them. So it was always the risk, but there was no other way to do it, really. So it was just a bit of a shame then that the Ashes came down to 4 or 5 games in the end. Yeah, it was disappointing to come over to Australia and it just rain a lot of the time. Were you expecting it to be really sunny and warm? You honestly, like in England, you genuinely wake up and you're like, we get the forecast, but they're always wrong. And you wake up and you just open the window and write, I'm playing cricket today, or I'm not playing cricket today. It's quite simple in England. But when you come to Australia, you just assume you're playing cricket and training every day. There's no real risk of rain. But I saw a mad stat that we've actually lost in the last times that we've played Australia. We've actually had more rained out fixtures in Australia than we have in England.
Oh, right.
And then everyone's like, oh, you brought the weather with you. I'm like, well, no, actually. The weather's crap here as well.
Yeah, it was also, I think, I may be completely wrong, but I think I heard something about it being like the most rainfall in those Adelaide ones or something like that. Like it hadn't rained that much in like a year, or like some period of time like that. And I'm like, of course that
it was, yes. Sorry, I will say, it was not expected at all. That was not meant to happen that time of year, and it was disappointing to have 2 games raining out, because I was playing cricket on Saturday and it wasn't raining, but then it just absolutely bucketed down. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh, just hold off, please.
The biggest shame for me was, obviously it was gutting not to play and get results, but an Ashes series is about playing the same team and the little narratives that you create. So we saw it in the test match, Brunty bowling at Alyssa Healy, potentially me to Meg Lanning in the ODIs. Like you get these small narratives of like trying to win little battles, and the fact that we only played that 1 game and then 2 were washed out, it felt like we'd not really started by the time we got into the test match. So I think that was the real shame for me, that, and you see it, like it's so obvious in the men's cricket, like Stuart Broad to David Warner. That was such a strong storyline throughout the 2019 Ashes, that it was just a bit of a shame for me that those stories hadn't started coming out, and that, again, rain affected cricket will create that. So I think for me that was more of a shame than actually not getting the results.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just more of a, when you're in Adelaide, it was just kind of like a glaring, staring contest, wasn't it? Because you couldn't actually get out there and play against each other. You know what it looked like? You were all kicking the football and they were kicking the AFL ball to each other. Yeah. So it was just like some mental games going on where you're all just...
It was like wet play at school. It was mad. It was like, who's brave enough to go out in the rain? What idiots. And then the rest of everyone was just undercover trying to keep warm.
Yeah.
What do you guys do? Like, you guys have camaraderie and stuff, like if rain breaks or after the game, you guys get together and have a little chat and stuff.
Do you mean as England and Australia, or just as our team?
Oh yeah, just England and Australia get together and have a chat mostly, or is it like in the men's team?
Yeah, how they always go in the dressing room.
Yeah, so, and just like what happened, Warnie kind of said as well, I'll leave that after the game, because I think Nathan Lyon and James Anderson were having a chat on the field before the game.
Yeah, so COVID has just meant that we've not really been able to mix that much, and especially with the risk of coming over to this World Cup, we had to live pretty safely for the last 2 weeks in Melbourne. But you share a hotel with the girls, and like you're always having, and like I played Big Bash I lived with Jess Jonathan for 3 months of my life, and she came over and played in the KSL for us. So you've got these little friendships that you try and grab moments with each other. But yeah, it was just a bit of a shame that like we couldn't go out for dinner or like have a proper sit down and chat without the fear of, you know, if I was a close contact with Jess or whatever, then it affects her World Cup as well as mine. So yeah, COVID has pretty much ruined that.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it? Because it did seems a lot more friendly when you're able to.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know whether you want that in an Ashes series, but so
I wouldn't want to share a hotel room with Catherine. I think she just
Catherine is the softest player we've got in this team. She's like the most shy.
That's something I've picked up, is same with Marizanne Kapp as well. They seem so scary when they're on the field, but they're so softly spoken when they're off and off the field. I'm just like, they seem so nice. But
honestly, white line fever. Brunty's mad for it. Like, it's crazy. And you miss field offer and you're like, oh, these words coming out of her mouth, like, don't want to listen to them.
Are you guys actually scared of misfielding off Catherine? You're going to get a spray? You
just know you're going to get a spray. So you've just got, if you make the mistake, you probably warrant the spray. So yeah, it's just a bit like, okay, calm down. Okay, she's fine.
that Nat drop catch was hilarious. That one.
There would have been words. Yeah,
well, did she send her back or something like that? Did she send her to the boundary? Was it? What did she say to her?
She said a lot to her, probably a lot that I can't repeat.
That's bad.
I did hear her say, Nat, that is the easiest catch you are ever going to get in your international career. And then there was a lot of other words that I can't say. But obviously, like Nat's like the safest pair of hands in our team. She wouldn't drop that 99 times out of 100. So it's just one of them things. You've just got to cop it when you make a mistake.
So, who was your favourite wicket that you took over these couple of games?
Not listening to this one. I'm just kidding.
Do you know who you got? I can tell you if you.
Yeah, I can. The ball that I'm going to talk you through is probably the best ball that I've bowled in my career. Certainly the best that was on TV. So I think I've watched it back probably about 110 times now. Because like that is, I'm like renowned for trying to get seam movement. So the way that I hold the ball means that I naturally wobble it. So that's why I do get seam movement. And you bowl those balls in training and you're like, did anyone see that? Like, was anyone watching? And then so to be able to do it and get Meg out, who's obviously like one of the best batters in the world, in a game where it kind of felt like it was a real pivotal part of the game as well. So I actually didn't realize when I bowled it. Obviously, I didn't realise that I bowled her, but then when Amy came and celebrated with me, she was like, geez, Crossy, that was a serious nut. And I was like, oh, did it nip back? So like, because of when I like drop my head, I can't quite see where it lands. So I've got an idea that it was outside off stump, but I didn't realise how much it had deviated. So yeah, it was nice to get one like that that's actually on like TV that I can watch back and show my kids when I'm a lot older.
Yeah, that was the one that I was watching at school, because I had to watch it at school. So our school laptops are blocked from the Wi-Fi, so I had to use my dad's because he works at the school. So
nice.
I'm sitting there and I was like, I had to show everyone. I had to reverse it back on KO, and I was like, guys, watch this. This is amazing. But
much as of a great ball it was, I didn't watch it much after that.
I did. So I guess, were there any learning curves or anything in specific that you're going to take from this Ashes series going into the World Cup? Because your first game is against Australia. So is there anything that you're going to take from that?
Yeah, obviously I think it was pretty obvious where we kind of had our downfalls in the Ashes. We just didn't score enough runs. And I think I've kind of said this a few times in a couple of interviews since the Ashes is finished, but playing against the best team in the world is the best preparation that you can possibly have, but equally it's the worst preparation you can possibly have, because in terms of confidence as a team, we had to remind ourselves we're not a bad team. We've not become a bad team overnight. It was our last game against New Zealand in our summer. We scored over 300. So I think you lose your perspective quite quickly when you're in a difficult series like an Ashes. So I think we've got to remember that as soon as we get out of this isolation and start training again, that what made us successful, how did we score our runs? Why were we so dominant throughout our entire summer? And that's it's a mindset thing. It purely is, and that's what cricket can do to you. It's quite it's a really extreme word to use, but it can be quite paralyzing sometimes, because it's a very fickle game and things can go your way and then they can't go your way. So I think it doesn't matter who we play in that first game. There's going to be so many nerves. There's going to be so much excitement. And I think for us, our main goal is just to play better cricket on that day. And regardless of the result, the 2017 girls, when they won the World Cup in 2017, they lost the first game to India and then didn't lose after that. So I think regardless of that result of the first fixture, it's about us playing the brand of cricket. I hate that term, sorry, but us playing the brand of cricket that we want to play and we know we're good at, and we've done it consistently in the past. That'll be what gives us the confidence. And we've also got 2 warm-up games when we get out there as well. So it's not like we're just going from isolation, train, and then play Australia again. We've got a bit of time in between to kind of put all the pieces back together again.
Yeah. How is the England camp feeling at the moment about trying to retain that World Cup? Is there some pressure or some nerves, I guess, about trying to keep that title?
It's strange, because I think there's obviously a few of the girls played in that 2017 squad. There's a lot of us that didn't. So there's probably mixed feelings. It's quite hard to say because we've not been together for 7 days now, which I think might be a bit of a blessing in disguise, because this is such an unnatural phase of anybody's life, let alone cricket career, that you kind of have a really massive, huge series that's all over Twitter and Instagram, and then you go and sit in a room for 7 days, and then you get out and you try and play a World Cup. Like it's a bit mad. So I think in a way it's going to reset us quite nicely, because we get out, we start again, boulders build up, batters have some drills, that kind of thing. But I don't think we've not really spoke about defending it yet. We've spoke about how we want to play good cricket, which ultimately might get us to that point where we can defend it. But I think once you start a World Cup, there's just always so many more bells and whistles around it, and the ICC are obviously in charge of it, and there's just a lot more going on that I think that'll just kind of kick us, I guess, well, certainly pick us up again, because it was a tough Ashes and it was hard and tiring and we didn't win. So yeah, I think once we start and we kind of get into a different routine in a different country, I think it'll just kind of take care of itself, or fingers crossed it will anyway.
Yeah, and it was quite a significantly different team to what you've got now. You do have your Catherine Brunt and Nat Sivera and your Shrubsall. Does it help having them still there from experiencing that first one? Does it help to kind of have them talk on that experience?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's we've got a really lovely mix of, like, this is my first World Cup. I was a part of the T20 World Cup in 2020, but I've never played a game in a World Cup fixture. So like I'm considered an inexperienced player in this environment now, even though I've played a lot of one-day cricket in the past 12 months, 2 years. So I think we've got a really lovely mix of like Emma Lamb, Charlie Dean, young girls who are coming in and still finding their feet in international cricket. You've got the likes of me and Loz, who are still kind of even still trying to find our feet in international cricket a little bit as well. And then you've got your stalwarts of Catherine Brunt and Anya, who have been there, done it, got 17 t-shirts. So I think that's really vital for a successful dressing room, because there will be days where we're going to need Catherine or Anya to stand, like Anya did in that final. We're going to need days like that where you senior players just take a game by the scruff of the neck and go, I'm going to dominate this now. And that's that. I think looking back at the 2017 World Cup, a lot of things get forgotten, like Nat's 100. I think I'm pretty sure Heather had 100 in that World Cup as well. Like there's so much that kind of gets missed because of the final and how well Anya bowled in that last 4 overs or whatever it was. But there was it felt like in 2017 at each game someone else put a hand up and won the game for England, and that is what World Cup cricket and successful teams in World Cup cricket do. And we've definitely got the capability of having people who can do that as well.
She's answered my question. I was going to ask what are England taking into the World Cup.
Sorry.
But that's no, all good. No, all good. Now that we know you've got a podcast with Alex Hartley as well.
Yeah.
The No Balls podcast.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? How did you start doing that?
So I've got a friend who, when I was over playing in Perth, I knew him from England, but he's moved over to Perth now, and he lent me a car for like the 6 months I was there. Really good friends with him, and he picked up on me and Alex on social media and how we just used to grill each other, and there's so much banter and take the mick out of each other. Basically, our friendship is based on that. And he was like, you two should start a podcast. He's called Nick, by the way, I'll shout him out. So Nick was like, you two should start a podcast. So I was like, absolutely no way. Like, no one's going to listen to it other than you and maybe my mum, if she knows how to work podcasts. And then Al lost her contract. So she, this would have been 2019. That October, she got told she wouldn't be an England contracted player anymore. And she really struggled with it. Like, obviously you're going to, like, your life's been pretty much flipped upside down in like overnight. And it just felt like a really nice time to give her a little project, and just to try it. Obviously we're just trialing it. People would either like us or they wouldn't. And so it kind of came from that. So a few people had like said on social media, and then Nick was the one who properly encouraged us, and then Al losing a contract. But I remember we recorded the first episode. We recorded for 2 hours with a phone in between us on her sofa in her living room. We edited it ourselves and we got it down to 20 minutes. Like, this was just a trial run that we sent to our friends and family. And honestly, the amount of crap that we spoke in that 2 hours, I can't listen to it now. Like, I wouldn't be able to go back because I'd be too embarrassed about it. And I think when we sent the first episode out, like 30 people listened to it, and we're absolutely buzzing. We're like, wow, like, I can't believe that many people want to listen to us. And then it just, obviously things like that just gain a bit of traction if it's any good. And we kind of seem to get the tone of it right. Like, we didn't want it to be too serious, but we also wanted to give some serious messages out about mental health. And I think just give people an idea of what it's like to be a professional athlete, because it's so rosy when you're watching us on the pitch, and it's amazing, and we're in New Zealand and Australia and it's great, and you're in the sun, and it can look so great, but there's so much more to it than that. And I think that's what we really wanted to emphasize to people, is like, you can say what you want on social media, but there's humans behind the athletes, and like, that's sometimes can quite easily get forgotten about. So there was some serious tones as to why we wanted to do it, but yeah, a lot of it is general rubbish and absolute shambolic-ness, which we love to spend literally every waking minute of our lives together, because we're training for England and we travel down to Loughborough in the same car, and like, we at the weekends we'd chill together. And then when she lost her contract, we lost that element of our friendship. So for us as well, it was like our way of catching up weekly, and and it was so authentic because we'd obviously chat, but there'd be bits that we'd keep from each other just so we could get each other's reactions on the podcast, and we still do that now, actually. So yeah, it's kind of, for me and Alex, a bit of therapy as well, because we just like have a chat with your best mate, and yeah, that hopefully comes across as well, that is literally what it is. It's just two mates having a chat, which hopefully you guys find as well, that it's therapeutic to do it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm glad that it's not just serious cricket chat, because it wouldn't be the same, you know. So it's good to hear like all the things. My favorite one is definitely the story was definitely the take that elephant. I was very
I also think, like, I say this to Al quite a lot, you would think that we'd go out and look for these things to talk about on the podcast that are a bit rogue, but genuinely these things happen to us. Like, why would I be able to take that's elephant in my pretty much back garden where I live? But it just happens. So yeah, and I think that, again, hopefully that comes across, that it is authentic and it is genuinely stuff that happens to us, and our stories are sometimes exaggerated for podcast purposes, but generally, you know, like Alex did dress up as an elephant and go to Chester Zoo, and it's funny. So
yeah, well, it's, you know, like I said, it's really good to hear. So
thank you. I appreciate that. So
we've got some this or that questions.
Yes,
this
is my bit.
Like one cricket one, mostly not, but we'll go through them, and then we'll may need explanations after. So Josh,
okay,
when you're ready.
All right, so the quick fire questions for today are pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Horror or comedy?
Comedy, not horror.
Okay. 2020 or test match cricket?
Test match cricket.
Test match cricket, good answer. Revels or minstrels?
Minstrels. Throwback, not had either of them for a
while. My fiance is going to love you. She loves the minstrels.
Love the minstrel.
Weetabix or Weet-Bix?
Weetabix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Vegemite or Marmite?
Neither. Get in the bin, both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Disgusting.
And the last one, West Ham or West Brom?
West Ham.
West Ham.
Daddy's girl, West Ham. He did his best stuff there.
All right.
Yeah.
I did do that last question. I was just like, he played for both. I wonder what she'd go.
Yeah, he had his best time at West Ham.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, the Revels or minstrels, that a bit of a throwback. What do you like?
Yeah, well, I've not had them probably since I was like 15, so that's a long time ago now. But a Revel's the one that I've got, like, there was a coffee one, an orange one,
different bits.
And I never used to like coffee, so I think that always threw me off them. But a minstrel, you know what you're getting with a minstrel. So standard chocolate, it's delicious. So yeah, minstrels.
I'm gonna dob my fiance Hannah in here. She has got a whole she's got a little locker, and a whole top shelf is filled with minstrels.
Nice.
You showed me before, and it was insane.
Yeah.
Me and Hannah would probably get on.
This is a big question for me, because this is a question that I ask all people who are from England. Because there's only one right answer. So
oh God, okay. I'm nervous.
What is your favorite pot noodle flavor?
Is there one? Again, I've not had pot noodles for a long time. Is there one that's chicken chow mein?
They've actually got like hundreds, but I think the main ones are like chicken and mushroom. And
no, not that one.
The mushroom.
Not that one. There's one. It might be chow mein. Let me Google it.
All right. Okay.
I mean, it sounds like it's not the right answer that you were looking for.
No, but
what is your favorite, Lily?
My favorite is a Bombay Bad Boy. King size Bombay Bad Boy. You cannot go wrong with a Bombay Bad Boy.
Yeah, it's the chow mein. It's the blue one. I think it's like the original.
Right, because see, I would have been a bit more disappointed if it's one I heard of, but I've actually never heard of that, so I can't really agree about that one.
Go and get yourself, go into the International Isle and get yourself a Chinese chow mein pot noodle, and you will thank me, and you'll definitely support the Manchester Originals.
Okay. But the Bombay Bad Boy pot noodle is like the black.
Oh, okay.
That's maybe a bit more Manchester Originals, but
yeah, okay, that works.
But that is like my favorite food in the entire world, and they only sell it in one shop in South Australia, and they're $4. $4. Yeah,
you need to set up a GoFundMe page just for your pot noodle obsession.
Yeah. It's like a 20-minute drive as well. So we sometimes literally make the trip up just to go and get pot noodle, which is a bit extreme.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, we can't get Tim Tams in England, and they're my favourite biscuit.
Oh,
And
you can't get
so-
Tim Tam in England.
Have you had
No,
a
so-
I know
slam?
that.
Yeah, I've been introducing it to everyone. So yeah, if you're thinking about how far you have to travel for that, I have to come to Australia to get Tim Tams. So
But
I'm
isn't
winning
that
that one.
the equivalent's isn't it like a penguin or something like that?
They're not, and it's just not the same. It's not as good.
Maybe we think that like Tim Tams, maybe what's the word? We don't appreciate them as much.
No, you don't. You don't. You guys
No.
don't have a clue what you've got on your back doorstep.
And they're cheap here as well. They're always on special.
Exactly.
So,
All right, and the big one.
now
the
we've got a final question. Now,
Yes.
this question, Alex actually asked you a couple of episodes ago. But we asked Alex when she was in
Okay.
Adelaide. So this question came from us.
Okay.
Do you classify porridge as cereal?
Oh yeah, this was
Yeah.
a weird chat. No, I don't, but I don't know why. It's
Done.
not a cereal.
No, it is a cereal.
Not a cereal.
not.
Thank you. It's not. No, it's not cereal. Now this has been a quite a controversial topic, even though it's completely random and I don't know why. But Macy Gibson put it in the miscellaneous breakfast category if it's not a cereal, which I agree with. So that's where I'd put it as well.
I don't know what I'd put it as, because it is cereal for me is like things that float in milk.
Cold milk, would you say?
Yeah,
I'd say cold, yeah.
That's a cereal, yeah.
Yeah.
And porridge doesn't float in milk. You mix it together and make something different. So it's like,
It's like a
I don't know what you describe it as. It's not a cereal though.
No, it's not. It's definitely not a cereal.
If you look it up on Google, it is classified as a hot cereal.
No, I don't think it does. That's not what you told me last time, Josh. It was like
Well, no, that
it's,
it was a hot breakfast.
it said something
Like,
like
Google actually did. I am right.
I feel like
Great
it's
argument, Josh. Well done.
I feel like it's the consistency of soup. That's what I go. It's like a soupy kind of consistency, but I wouldn't call it soup. But
No, you've got your porridge all wrong here, Lily. If you're drinking soup, no, that's not right.
no,
You're making it wrong.
it's I don't classify it as
literally, it
cereal.
is a bit like
I
soup.
don't
Yes.
classify it as cereal. I'd say it's with the muesli. It's all clumped together in the muesli.
Yeah, I'd put it with the muesli more than the cereal.
Yeah, definitely. That is all. That's all we have
Yeah.
today. Thank you for chatting to us, Kate. You know, we've taken up quite a bit of your time on your last day in quarantine. So you know, we really appreciate you talking to us. And you know, good luck for the World Cup. We'll be watching.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yes,
you. No, I
thank you,
really
Kat.
appreciate it.
We've had a lovely chat and really enjoyed having you.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate you letting me come on. And who are you both supporting in the World Cup, out of interest?
England.
Australia.
All right.
But we're both
Josh,
definitely
we're not going to be friends
originally.
anyway. Don't worry about it. Me and Lily are tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
but-
I will be supporting you. And yeah,
Thank
hopefully
you.
you have a very good tournament. And yeah, no, hopefully you guys do well. It's going to be a very open tournament.
Thank you very much. No, I really appreciate that. And good on you two for doing what you're doing as well, because the more people chatting about women's cricket and stuff, brilliant.
Ball gone. She's on a hat-trick, Kate Cross. Straight through the defences. First ball duck.
How amazing was that chat with Kate Cross?
It was fantastic. She, like I said before, she was fantastic to listen to. And it's really interesting to hear her opinion about the 5 days. I feel
Yeah.
that was really cool to listen to, because it should be 5 days, women's cricket, I feel.
Yeah.
And it was good to hear a rant about that.
Yeah, everything she said, it was like just so insightful, and I think she, we're really, really grateful for the time she dedicated, because she was chatting to us in between uni lectures. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, she had 4 Zooms in one day. Yeah, she was so generous with her time, and
Yes.
we're so thankful that she agreed to talk to us. Really.
I will say one of my
favourite England players now to watch.
Yeah.
So
We have been converted to the Manchester
yes.
Originals.
So yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
Phoenix.
still on the fence. I'm not sure. I will pay close attention to the 100 this year and see who is playing. And
I've
I was
already
it's a bit of very biased for Southern Brave. So we'll see what happens.
I've already asked my mum to buy me a Manchester Original shirt for my birthday. So we will see.
Oh, here we go.
So I think I've been converted.
You got to get Cross put on it.
Well, yeah, I was deciding between getting Cross on it, but because I already have one, I was thinking of getting Hartley on the back and just have both Kate and Alex have both of them shirts with their names on. But that was our episode with Kate Cross. We really hope you enjoyed our interview, and we have got another exciting one next week.
Yes.
We will give another clue. So she is a former Australian player, doesn't play anymore, so retired.
No. Yes.
But yeah, that should be another really fun episode.
So take a guess, guys.
Yeah, let us know. We really hope you enjoyed our episode with Kate Cross. If you did, you can let us know on Instagram at howzatTCP or Twitter at howzatTCP. Or you can send us an email at howzatthecricketpodcast@gmail.com. But other than that, that's it from me this week.
Yes, that's it from me too. Thank you, guys. Stay safe.